So every HVAC company has a few technicians who really drive the business, but when you look at the numbers, it's not always obvious who's actually contributing the most value. So some techs are generating high revenue, some generate high profit, and some complete more jobs than everyone else. And so in this video, I want to show you how you can rank your employees based on all three. And there's no perfect, way to do this. I can just show you like a pretty interesting way to rank, these people. And so what we have here is we have, do we have people that are producers? So what we want first is a unique list of these people. So if there's a 1, then we want the name here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create like a points column, because the thing is that you can't do it just based on revenue because you might not have margin on those deals. You can't do it just on margin because it could be, a low margin deal. You can't do it just on jobs because that job might be low revenue or low margin. So having sort of a formula that you can create can then rank employees based off of productivity. And so, stay with me because I know it might be something you've never seen before. But what you can do is you can give weights to each variable. So say you wanted to give revenue a weight of 55% and gross profit a weight of 35%, and then jobs completed a weight of 10%. And then you can add all those together to sort of get a number that you can then compare everybody on. And that's what this video is going to do. And so what we have is we have a points column here. And what I did for revenue is, or for jobs completed, I did 35 times 350, because say your average deal size is 350. And so I gave it a 35% rating, but you could give it, something that you find more valuable. This isn't set in stone. Sorry, I did it times 350. The 35% is for gross profit. And so you can multiply the job times 350 because your average deal size, or you can add a 10% variable if you don't want to attribute that much weight to it. Like maybe you're doing a bunch of jobs, that take a day or half a day. And so again, with this, you can sort of get your own percentages, and I'll show you how to calculate it. So it's pretty simple: equals revenue, times 0.55 plus gross profit times 0.35 plus, and then you can do jobs completed times 350 if that's your average deal size. And then you get a number. And you can see these numbers here are matching these numbers here. And then for 0, it's just because they're not a producer, right? Your salespeople aren't producing revenue. Like, I mean, your customer service reps aren't, your dispatch isn't producing revenue. They don't have billable hours, essentially. And then to get the year, what we're doing is we're getting the year of the month end column here. And so equals EO month, and then here, comma 0. And then here. So now we have, equals, not EO month, equals year, because we're going to filter this on year, comma. Let me redo the whole thing, because you can use the year function, but I use the text function, equals text, comma, and then 4y's. And then now you have these two here. Sorry about that confusion. There's a lot of ways to do it. But yeah, so now we have a point system. So this isn't a dollar value. It's just a point value. And again, it's from 55% from revenue to 35% from gross profit, and then the number of jobs completed by 350. And you can lower that number. I mean, you can also multiply this times, say, 10% if you want 10%, of the total. Let's try that. Let's multiply times 0.1. And you're going to lower this number, because the reason why we can do that is now 55%, 35%, and then 10% equals 100. Okay, so I'm going to delete these two, and then now we can start this here. And so the first thing we're going to want, you can see all these just changed. The first thing we're going to want is we're going to want a unique list of anybody that is a producer. So equals, so we can just say, what do we call this, tech, or employee is fine. So employee, so equals filter, we're going to filter this employee name, comma, where is producer equals 1. And then we have that here. The problem here is we have a lot of duplicate values, so we don't want that. from here, we want a unique list. And that's going to remove all the duplicates. So these are all your producers. And then from here, you can sort it. You can do it however you want. I'll just sort it just to show you another function. So sort, and then now we have this alphabetically, sorted alphabetically. And then I'll just copy this and then paste it as values. And then the next thing we want is we want to put a drop down here. And this drop down is going to be dynamic. So then you can go by year. If you remember the year that we created earlier. And so go to data. And in this data set's 24, 25, 26. So go to data, data validation, list, and then just type in 2024, comma, 2025, comma, 2026. Oh, that didn't work. And then press OK. Okay. And then now you have the list. And so now what we can do is we can do a sum of the column that we created. So equals sum if s of the points column if the year column is 2025 and the employee name is Adrian Flores. So sum if s. So we want to sum the points column, comma, if this, comma, is this, comma, and if the employee name, comma, is Adrian Flores, right? And so we get the value here, and it's not dollars. It's just a point system. And so we get that here. So now we want to drag this down, but you'll see the problem is that what's happening is 2025 is now coming down to this number. So all you have to do is where it says 2025, just press F4. And then now you can double click here. Okay, so we have that here. And the next thing we want is we want to rank this. So we want to rank here using the rank function. And so rank equals the rank average, rank this number, comma, and highlight the range, and then press the F4 key. We want to lock everything again. So as we drag the rank down, we don't want the rank average column to go down with it. And then you can see here that we have all of the ranking here. Okay, so now what we want is we want the top 10. We want the top 10 of the people. And so what I'll do is I'll just copy this here and put it here. Let me add some column or some rows above, and I'll show you why. Oh, not that many. Okay, so we can just type in, 1, 2, and then get down to 10. And now we can use lookup functions to pull, okay, who's rank 1? Because the thing is, they're going to change, right? As you change this, rank 1 can change over the years, or not. Like it could stay the same as well. So we want to do equals index. We want to index the name, comma, and then we want to match this value, comma, with here. So it's essentially saying find number 1 here and give me what's in this column for that. So comma 0. And then you can see if you double click that down, it will automatically update. And then as you change this, it should update. You can see some of the names are updating. And it sort of makes sense. Your top producers are staying the same. Okay, so the next thing we want is we want the amount. Instead of calling it amounts, we can call it points. So now we want to do the same formula, index, but this time we want this. Index this column where, and then you can match. We can do the rank again, match this with this. And then 0. And then now we have the points. It's not dollars. And then now we can get the productivity of this person based off of everybody. So we want equals this divided by the sum of all these. And again, press F4. Only for the sum part. And then you can double click this down. And then you can press Control-Shift-5 if you want a percentage. Okay, and so what this is saying is that your top 10 employees, I'll just put this here. What did I call it? Top 10 employee contribution. We can put it right here. So now we just want to sum this. We want to sum this. So your top 10 employees are contributing 37% of your points based off of your point system. And again, you can change that, to be however you want it to be. Right? It's just adding the weights to different variables makes it better. And then from here, what we can do is we can just highlight the name and the points up, and then go to insert and then recommended charts, and it's the first one there. And then we call this points. What do we call this here? Top 10. Okay, yeah, let me create this right here. So what we're doing here is we want to have a dynamic title. So equals quotations top 10. Here, hold on. Let me see what I called it here, just so I can call it exactly this. So I'll just copy and paste. So equals quotations, and then quotations here, and then and this. And now we have a dynamic title. So if we change this to 2025, you can see this changes here as well. And then we can just click on the title and then go to the formula bar, type in equals, and then this. And now you have a dynamic title. Right? And so this changes. And so that's how you can create this. Like, again, my tables here and my percentages here, you can do it different. You can add different weights to different things, but the thing is, you can't go just off of revenue. Like summing revenue by employee, like that's a super easy thing to do, but that might not be the best way to determine your most productive employee, right? And then, summing gross profit might not be the best way, because if they're doing more or less jobs, summing average gross profit, again, isn't the best way. But having weights on different variables is going to be the best way to try and get, the best, way to rank your employees. But anyways, that is it on this one. If you have any questions, let me know. Questions at Databoards. If you want this file with my formulas and everything, there's a link to download it, or you can just shoot me an email. There's no cost to any of that stuff. It's just if you want it. And then also, if you want some help with these KPIs and you need some help looking over your data, or the best way to to model the data, then there's a link to my calendar, or you can just shoot me an email and we can set up a time to chat. But anyways, that's it on this one, and I will see you in future videos.